There are hard hitters in rugby, and then there are those who leave their opponents questioning their life choices. Some players don't just tackle, they obliterate. Today, we're breaking down rugby's most devastating back row hitters, the men who set the tone with bone-crunching collisions and unmatched physicality. If you ever wondered what it's like to be hit by a freight train, just ask anyone who tried to stop Henry Tuilagi in full flight. The Samoan powerhouse was built like a tank, standing 6'1" and weighing over 120 kilograms. Yet he moved like a charging bull. His sheer force made defenders bounce off him like ragdolls. Playing for Leicester Tigers and Perpignan, Tuilagi was a nightmare for anyone caught in his path. His tackle technique? Pure devastation. Whether it was in attack or defense, he delivered some of the biggest collisions ever seen. His ability to turn a defensive set into an attacking opportunity with just one hit was second to none. They called him the Butcher because he carved up defenses and left ball carriers in pieces. Off the field, he was quiet, almost shy. On it, a monster. His hits were so brutal that even his own teammates winced watching replays. If Scotland ever needed a man to lead from the front, Jason White was that guy. At 6'5" and over 110 kilograms, White was a brutal tackler, known for cutting down opponents like a lumberjack taking down trees. His most infamous moment? The 2006 Autumn Internationals against France. White's tackles in that match became the stuff of legend, huge driving hits that knocked ball carriers backward. He was a captain who led by example, setting the tone for Scotland's defence with pure physical dominance. Whether playing for Sale Sharks or his national team, White's tackling was calculated destruction. While many big hitters rely purely on brute force, Michael Jones brought precision and timing. Widely regarded as one of the greatest open-side flankers of all time, the All Blacks legend had an almost supernatural ability to read the game and execute the perfect hit. Jones played during an era where the breakdown was a war zone, and he dominated it. At 6'2" and 100 kilograms, he wasn't the biggest, but his explosiveness and technique made him a defensive wall. His performances in the 1987 Rugby World Cup showcased his mix of power and skill. His hits were perfectly timed, stopping attackers dead in their tracks. Jones had a rare combination of ferocity and finesse, making him one of the most complete back rowers ever. There's one man who embodied pure intimidation. It was Brad Thorne. A crosscode beast, comfortable in the back row or the engine room, Thorne made his name in both Rugby League and Rugby Union, using his uncompromising physicality to dominate. At 6'5" and over 115 kilograms, Thorne wasn't just big, he was relentless. Whether in the All Blacks jersey, playing for the Crusaders, or in his later years at Leinster, Thorne's tackling and mauling game were legendary. His ability to smash through ball carriers and bring physical dominance to every game made him an absolute menace. One of his most memorable performances came in the 2011 Rugby World Cup final, where he helped the All Blacks grind down France with sheer forward brutality. Thorne didn't just tackle, he hit with the kind of force that left lasting impressions, both on his opponents and on the history of the game. His teammates called him a one-man army because he'd take on entire packs alone and win. Few players could find physical dominance in the modern-day game quite like Duane Vermeulen. The Springbok wrecking machine has built a career on smashing through defences and imposing himself in every collision. At 6'4" and 120 kilograms, Vermeulen is a nightmare to tackle and a nightmare to be tackled by. His defensive presence has been a crucial part of South Africa's success, most notably in the 2019 Rugby World Cup final, where he delivered a defensive masterclass against England. His hits don't just stop players, they send them backwards, setting the tone for an entire pack to dominate. What makes Vermeulen even scarier? His ability to control the breakdown and disrupt opposition ball, making him a defensive weapon unlike any other. If rugby had a gladiator, it would be Mamuka Gorgodze. Known as Gorgodzilla for good reason, this Georgian titan turned physicality into an art form. At 6'5" and over 120 kilograms, he was a nightmare in the back row, launching himself into tackles like a human missile. His ability to ragdoll ball carriers with sheer force was unparalleled. Just ask any Tier 1 nation that faced Georgia in a Rugby World Cup. Gorgodze was relentless, smashing through defenses while making massive, rib-rattling tackles. His ferocity wasn't just about size, it was about intent. Gogodze wasn't fancy, he didn't need to be. His power came from size and a hunger to dominate. Georgia might not win every game, but with Gogodze in the back row, no one walked away unscathed. If you played against Chris Halaufia, you probably felt it the next day. The Tongan wrecking ball became notorious in the Premiership, where his tackles weren't just effective, they were downright scary. He had an almost unnatural ability to level opponents with perfectly timed, destructive hits. Even the hardest ball carriers dreaded running into him. He didn't just stop players, he buried them. Halaufia had a no-nonsense approach, and his highlight reel is filled with jaw-dropping, borderline illegal hits that sent shockwaves through stadiums. When he lined up a tackle, there was no escaping the impact. New Zealand has produced some of the greatest flankers in rugby history, but few hit harder than Jerome Kaino. He was the enforcer in the legendary All Blacks side that dominated world rugby for a decade. Kaino wasn't just powerful, he was calculated, picking his moments to deliver bone-shaking tackles that stopped attackers dead in their tracks. Whether it was shutting down an opposition breakaway or obliterating a carrier at the gain line, Kaino made sure they felt every bit of the hit. His physical dominance was key in both of New Zealand's World Cup winning campaigns in 2011 and 2015. When Kaino tackled you, it wasn't just about stopping the play, it was about making a statement. While David Pocock wasn't the biggest back rower, his strength and technique made him one of the most devastating defensive players the game has seen. His ability to chop down opponents and steal the ball in an instant made him a nightmare for attacking teams. Pocock had a rare mix of low center gravity, raw power, and relentless work ethic. He wasn't the type to smash players backward with sheer force, but his tackles were textbook perfection, low, hard, and effective. If Pocock got his arms around you, it was game over. His dominance at the breakdown made him a one-man wrecking crew, disrupting entire game plans with his defensive brilliance. Wallabies fans knew, if Pocock was on, the breakdown was theirs. Injuries cut his career short, but his legacy as a hitting machine lives on. No conversation about elite back rowers is complete without Richie McCaw. Possibly the greatest open-side flanker of all time, he wasn't just a master tactician, he was a rugby assassin who knew exactly how to bring down even the strongest runners. While McCaw was famous for his leadership and breakdown dominance, his tackling was just as ruthless. He didn't go for flashy hits. He went for maximum impact, always wrapping up and driving players backward. What made McCaw different? He could deliver 20-plus high-intensity tackles in a match without slowing down. McCaw's real weapon? His brain. He knew when to hit, when to steal, when to lead. He won 114 of his 148 tests, an 89% win rate. That's not just hitting, that's winning. Fans debate his style. Some say he bent rules, but no one denies his impact. 2 World Cups, 3 World Player of the Year awards, and a career that redefined the back row. McCaw didn't just play rugby, he mastered it. These aren't just players, these are forces of nature. Every one of them left their mark on the game, not just through their skills, but through the fear they instilled in their opponents. But here's the question, who's the biggest hitter of them all? Was it the raw power of Henry Tuilagi, the calculated destruction of Jason White, or the all-around brilliance of Michael Jones? Let us know your thoughts, and if you think we missed someone, stay tuned, because the next list might just be even more brutal.